This is breaking news from RTV6, working for you.
A major announcement today, catching the world of sports and much of central Indiana by surprise. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway and the IndyCar Racing Series are being sold, and they're going to one of the biggest names in all of racing. Our own Rafael Sanchez watched this all happen today. He joins us live right now from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. More on this big purchase made by Penske Entertainment. Rafael, what have we found out?
Lord, for us Hoosiers, a wow moment. Who would have thought on a Monday that we would even hear the news that the Indianapolis Motor Speedway was for sale, and then that it went to the winningest owner of IndyCar drivers, Roger Penske. That's what's happened today. Roger Penske is now the owner of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. For race fans, they will not see any major changes because of the sale. So race fans who are worried about what's going to happen for the Indy 500, it's going to be okay for now. There could be some changes down the road. As for when the sale will be complete, that will happen sometime in January due to federal regulatory issues. Roger Penske did speak to us here today on the fourth floor of the Pagoda, saying that he is interested in bringing more activities to Speedway and to Indianapolis, that he's willing to take some risks as the new owner of the Speedway. As for Tony George, the former owner of the Speedway, he called this a bittersweet moment. Of course, his family was here, and this is what he had to say to us and the world.
You know, we all love it and we all care deeply for it, and you know, I think we all realize that as a family and as an organization, we probably had taken it as far as we can. I think that you know, Roger's, his structure, his resources, his capabilities that he demonstrates is only going to take this to another level.
I'm planning to really step down from being a strategist on the pit box. You won't see me there on race day. I think I've got a bigger job to do now, is to try to see how we can build a series to the next level.
So that is the big announcement here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But how is this really playing out on Main Street? For that, we went to Charlie Brown's restaurant, where people always have something to say, whether it's about politics or racing. So between a side of eggs and toast, this is what fans of the Indy 500 and the fans of the Speedway had to say about this major announcement.
I think it'll be a good thing. I'm a big fan of Penske, and anything Roger touches, it will help the Speedway, I believe.
We hear now that Mr. Penske is buying the place. What are your thoughts?
It surprised me that they sold. I mean, it really does. I didn't think that they'd ever get rid of it. But as long as it's Penske, I'm okay with it. You know, he always does a great job in any business that he ever gets into.
Full coverage of today's momentous decision and announcement here at the Motor Speedway on the RTV6 app, as well as the IndyChannel.com. Back here live at the Speedway, of course, our entire sports team is here covering this event. As you can see, my colleague, Sports Director Dave First, already speaking to Roger Penske, who is the owner of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Getting that interview. We'll have much more on that one-on-one later today. But also my other colleague, who also knows this place oh so well. We lean on you, Brad Brown and Dave First, every May and through the entire racing season, because you bring it home for us who don't do this every day. What does this mean for you as someone who has covered this race for so many years?
Well, I think the first thing that struck me was the two comments that stood out for me. Tony George made the comment that the Holman family really had taken the Speedway, they thought, as far as they could. Roger followed that up by talking about the future of the Speedway, and I think when you put a new set of eyes from the top down on a place like this, all of those what-ifs that come into play. What if we could have a night race here? What if we could have a sports car race here? What if, going forward, the future of this place? And I think it will be very interesting to see kind of from 2020 and beyond what sort of the next big picture is. Really, the Holman family was involved here for 75 years. Where does this start for the next 75 years for what this place really can be? So
as the news team passes on the baton to the sports team and our coverage later today, what will be your number one question that you'll want to know from Mr. Penske and this whole, because we don't have many of the details, financial details, or how this will all shake out. What do you want to to know.
I really think, what does this mean for IndyCar as a whole? Because the 500 really is just the biggest piece of the puzzle for the series as a whole. And if you're a racing fan, if you're an IndyCar fan, what does this mean for the teams? What does this mean for perhaps something more for other tracks around the country? Where does this go going forward? The future of this is what the big part of this is about, and it will be interesting to see kind of what the bigger vision is beyond just that Sunday in May that we all gather here for race day.
Brad Brown, RTV Sports, as well as our sports director Dave First at work. We'll have more of that interview with Mr. Penske and Mr. First later today. Should point out, again, the price tag. Many of you are asking how much was the sale for? How much did this place go for? Because these are private companies. Mr. Penske says they will not disclose that. The other big piece of this, of course, 260 people work here in Indianapolis as part of this facility. Their jobs are safe. Working for you and live at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Rafael Sanchez, now back to you.
Rafael, thank you for that update. There, obviously a story we're going to be following throughout the day here and throughout the season. So we're going to have much more coming up on the RTV6 app and the news at 5 o'clock. But taking a turn right now to our forecast. It is Monday, the start of a new work week. And here's what it looks like outside right now. View from downtown. Our Todd Clausen is standing by with what it feels like as people head out for their lunch hour. Hey, Todd.
Yeah, Lauren, doesn't feel all that bad out there. There's a little bit of a breeze, but temperatures have climbed pretty quickly here into the 50s at this noon hour. And that's due to a little bit of sunshine that we saw early on. 57 right now in Indy, 55 in Martinsville. It's also 55 in Columbus. The problem is the clouds now are starting to gather across the area. You look from downtown to the north and you can see that overcast sky, and that's going to kind of cap our warming here going forward throughout the remainder of the day. And here was that little window of sunshine that we saw that's scooting off towards the east. And as we expand out, you do notice some showers here back off to our west in St. Louis, back to Kansas City. A few of these are going to try to head our way, but they do not arrive until late tonight, after sunset, and then into the overnight hours. So anything you want to do outside this afternoon, it will not be the brightest afternoon for you, but you will be able to do it and stay dry. About 55 to 54 degrees as we work our way throughout the evening hours. So with the sun setting earlier, our high temperature occurs earlier in the afternoon, and then this evening we will fall back down into the 40s as some of those showers start to develop. We'll talk about the showers and look ahead to the rest of the week, which features a big-time cold front heading our way. More on that coming up in Maine weather in just a few minutes.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. New this midday, Metro Police are trying to figure out more about a person who was found dead inside of a home on the far east side. Police were called just after 7 o'clock this morning to a home on K. Ellen Drive. That's near 25th and Post Road. A man was found dead at that scene when the officers arrived, and police say right now there is evidence that this may have all stemmed from a domestic situation, so they are interviewing several witnesses who are at the scene at the time. The exact cause of death and that person's identity has not been released. If you do have any information in this case, you can leave an anonymous tip with Crime Stoppers. That number is 317-262-TIPS. Following last week's official vote to launch open hearings, the impeachment investigation continues this week behind closed doors. But President Trump continues to strongly push for the release of the anonymous whistleblower's identity. As ABC's Serena Marshall tells us, some White House officials defied congressional subpoenas to testify today.
A new offer to answer congressional Republicans' questions under oath by the whistleblower rejected.
After all, we are talking about the impeachment of potential impeachment of the President of the United States. And it seems to me the guy should show up.
Even though the whistleblower's own lawyer said their answers would be in writing under oath and penalty of perjury. Telling ABC News, now we have offered directly to the GOP, they have no excuses. This morning, President Trump responding, tweeting, the whistleblower gave false information and he must be brought forward to testify. Written answers not acceptable. Even though the president himself fought for months to provide his own written answers instead of an in-person interview to Robert Mueller. And over the past month, multiple witnesses have testified under oath to Congress, corroborating the whistleblower's account of the president's phone call with Ukraine's leader, including members of the president's own National Security Council, like Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman, who testified he was so concerned about what he saw as inappropriate pressure, he twice warned his superiors.
My phone call was perfecto. It was totally appropriate.
And as he maintained there's nothing wrong with the call, the 4 current White House officials scheduled for depositions today, skipping them at the direction of the White House. 2 of those individuals were subpoenaed in advance of today, but now that subpoenas have been issued for all 4 officials, if they continue to not testify, congressional Democrats will argue they are obstructing their congressional oversight. Serena Marshall, ABC News, Washington.
We are only 3 months away from the first presidential caucuses. The mayor of South Bend seems to be picking up momentum. But will it be enough to make him the Democratic nominee? Todd.
And Lauren, it's been a dry start to our day here across central Indiana, but some showers will be possible as we work our way into the course of the evening hours. Any showers we do see, though, are going to be very spotty in nature. That is the good news. We'll talk all about it in your Storm Team 6 forecast. You're watching the news at noon right here on RTV6.
Live tonight on ABC.
Now to the race for the White House. We are officially 1 year away from the presidential election. South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg appears to be surging in Iowa, even as the rest of the Democratic field starts to thin out. As ABC's Trevor Ault tells us, the top candidates are now battling over health care policy.
With the 2020 election now just one calendar year out and the Iowa caucuses less than 100 days away, the Democratic field showing consistency at the top of the pack. Senator Elizabeth Warren continuing her rise up to 21 points in our latest poll, but her proposal for Medicare for All, a lightning rod of criticism.
If somebody else has a better plan to deal with that $11 trillion that families are going to pay over the next 10 years, then they should put it out.
The senator aggressively defending the plan, which calls for an additional $20.5 trillion in federal spending, funded by raising taxes on wealthy Americans and businesses. Former Vice President Joe Biden, who still leads nationally in the latest ABC News Washington Post poll, calls the plan mathematical gymnastics.
I promise you couldn't even get it passed.
Mayor Pete Buttigieg, up 9 points and solidifying his position in the top group, is questioning Warren's math.
Do you buy that she can pay for her plan without raising taxes on the middle class? That's what she says.
Well, the math is certainly controversial. Again, there are variations in the estimates in the trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. And we don't have to go there in order to deliver health care to everybody.
Even fellow progressive Bernie Sanders, who shares Warren's goal of a Medicare for All system, is now criticizing her plan to pay for it.
I think that would probably have a very negative impact on creating those jobs or providing wages, increased wages and benefits for those workers. So I think we have a better way.
The Democratic primary is still anyone's race. The latest ABC News polls show a majority of Democratic voters still haven't firmly made up their minds. Trevor Ault, ABC News, New York.
Firefighters risk their lives every day to protect our communities, but coming up, a first-of-its-kind program to help those heroes detect cancer risks early. That's after the break.
Treatment's absolutely free.
It works. Welcome back. Election Day is tomorrow, and over the past week, we've been asking the candidates for mayor of Indianapolis some important questions. We spoke to all three candidates about how they would improve the city's infrastructure. Democratic Mayor Joe Hogsett has a proposed plan which would take the growth of tax money from around Indianapolis and help the region's road issues, but some have been very slow to come around to that plan.
We need to repair potholes the correct way. We need to do it in a more permanent fashion instead of a temporary patch, because a temporary patch is again, it's only temporary.
The mayor in his State of the City speech pretty much demanded that the cities just follow along in the counties outside Indianapolis. And that just doesn't work.
Nearly 200,000 people get up every morning who do not live in Marion County. They drive into Marion County because that's where their jobs are. They derive income from Marion County. And when they drive home at night, they take all of their local tax payments with them.
Well, we talked to each candidate about several other issues, including food insecurity, homeless prevention, and addressing the city's homicide numbers. And you can find all of those discussions right now at theindychannel.com. Well, firefighters face life-threatening situations every day, and it's all to keep us safe. Along with the physical dangers that they face on the job, firefighters are also at a higher risk of cancer. That's why today the Wayne Township Fire Department is giving their firefighters this specialized testing. 150 Wayne Township firefighters are getting liquid biopsy testing today. It's a blood draw that can give them an early indication of cancer in their bodies. This is so they can begin treatment earlier and have a better chance of survival.
Well, we're exposed to so many more carcinogens on a daily basis than the average person. Even when we wear our air mask, those carcinogens still get in our gear and get absorbed by our gear and can get in our skin and absorbed by our skin.
The International Association of Firefighters says that cancer is the leading cause of death for its members. Back here, we do want to take a look at our forecast. I'm joined right now by Todd Clausen. It is Monday after a cooler weekend, but it was sunny. So
that was the good news. We had the sunshine. Yeah, It was a little chilly, especially in the morning hours, but temperatures today not going to be too far off the normal high of 59 degrees for this time of year. In fact, we sit at 57. Here's a live look in Brown County. I'm sure that was a busy place this weekend. You know, some of the trees there, no leaves at all, but still some decent color if you choose to head down there in the coming days. Outside, as you look to the north, you notice the clouds have moved back in. Temperature outside sits at 57 degrees right now, and here's a little bit of an issue throughout the course of the day, and it's the trade-off, right? It's a southerly wind, so that's bringing the temperatures up into the 50s, but we're up to 15-mile-per-hour wind speed, so it's definitely going to be breezy if you're going to be out and about, so that's going to make that temperature seem a little bit cooler. And we'll talk about the sunrise and sunset times. You notice the difference? Sunrise this morning at 7:17, sunset later on tonight at 5:40. 56 currently in Greenfield, 54 in Bloomington, so everybody's within a couple degrees of each other now with the overcast skies that we have out there, and our temperatures really not going to go up much more throughout the course of the day today. Maybe another degree or two in spots. 59 in Columbus, about 56 the high in Lafayette, as well as Peru. So we started off with sunshine this morning, but now the clouds have gathered. You notice that one little hole in the clouds there is even filling in. As you look back off to the west, you notice a few showers that stretch from central Illinois back through Missouri, from St. Louis into the Kansas City area, and a few of those showers are going to sneak in here later on today. But your evening should be fine for the most part. It's not until after 8 o'clock we'll even introduce the chance of some scattered showers here, with temperatures that will be in the 50s and eventually falling into the 40s. By 6 o'clock, we're dealing with overcast skies. It's just a hit or miss shower through about the 8 to 10 o'clock hour. And then overnight tonight, that's when we'll see more in the way of widespread shower activity make its way through the area as a front slides through. But it's quick moving, and that's the good news for Election Day. While tomorrow we may start off with a little bit of cloud cover here across the area, we get into the sunshine very, very quickly. Temperatures a little bit cooler behind this cold front that'll pass through. Look for highs that will be in the mid to upper 40s across the area. But the stronger cold front, that's going to come through later in the week. We're targeting Thursday for that to pass. As it comes through, there will be the chance of some rain and or snow showers across the area, but the bigger story will be the cold air that develops behind this front. By the time we get to Friday morning, we're talking about temperatures all the way down into the mid-20s, and your high on Friday is only back up to 37 degrees, but we do have sunshine in the forecast, and at this point, Saturday's the better day of the weekend, 43, as more rain and or snow showers could enter the forecast, Lauren, as we get to Sunday.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Well, coming up, are you working too much? One of the biggest companies in the world found that you may be better off spending more time outdoors, like here in Greencastle. We'll have that story, plus another look at your forecast heading into your Monday afternoon. Stick around, you're watching RTV6.
To schedule an in-person meeting.
A growing number of smaller companies are opting for a 4-day work week. Now, one big company suggests it could work for even the biggest businesses. Microsoft introduced a 4-day work week over the summer at its offices in Japan. It gave employees every Friday off during the month of August. The company says the results were promising. While the amount of time spent at work was cut dramatically, productivity, measured by sales per employee, went up by almost 40% compared to the same period in the previous year. In addition to reducing working hours, managers urge their staff to cut down on the time they spend in meetings and responding to emails. You think folks will go for that, Todd? No news on Fridays?
I can get on board with that trend.
Yeah, no news is good news.
That sounds good to me.
All right.
All right. What might not sound good to you is overcast skies here this afternoon. Temperatures in the mid-50s. Tomorrow for Election Day, no excuse not to get out there and vote. Weather-wise, plenty of sunshine, 49 degrees, then rain and snow in the forecast potentially Thursday, followed by much colder air.
All right, Todd, thank you so much, and thank you for joining us and making RTV6 your choice for news. We hope you come back here. Join us for the news at 5 o'clock. Get outside, have a great Monday afternoon, and go vote tomorrow. As Todd said, there's no excuse not to in the weather department. Here's a live look at IMS. We'll keep you updated on that breaking news from IMS throughout the day on the RTV6 app. Have a good one.